So our goal this year is to win that SEMA Battle of Builders competition.
As far as all this is concerned, success would be being able to create these cars and cars like this just over and over and having fun doing it.
Blazin Rodz for sure is an underdog. Our name's really not known out there. We're a bunch of young kids running around, and a lot of people are like, what do you mean you're 24 years old working in the classic car industry? But they don't know what's coming.
I mean, we love cars, obviously, you know? I mean, sometimes I hate them because they stress me out, you know? But it's a good love.
If the team's successful at SEMA, man, the future is I mean, there's no limit.
What's really cool to see is these guys, they assembled a team, a youthful team on top of that, that is pretty advanced. And so they're able to take a build that usually takes, I don't know, 2 to 3 years, right? I've seen some builds that are like 5 to 7 years, and really condense that. And that's through technology.
What's happening, Playboy?
What's up, Pamp?
What's going on? Happy Monday. What you working on?
Well, our bumper deal, those taillights we drew, definitely not gonna fit in the body lines we have because we kind of made them off stock bumper, kind of went backwards a little bit. See how it sits like not right. So angle, body line straight. So we're gonna have to scrap those and just remake them. But the bumper after that should be pretty much done. My love for cars started honestly when I was pretty much just born. My dad owned an automotive shop and he didn't have money to pay for daycare, so he'd always bring me. So I was just around it forever, pretty much my whole life. There's a core support. It's not really the core support, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So that's like a big structural member. So it kind of sucks, but I'm honestly thinking about like when it's all fixtured up and tacked together, we might scan it and then make sure it's exactly where it goes, because the second we start welding on that thing, there's no going back, you know? I was working in fab shops, and then my very first boss actually had a CNC plasma table, just a little like, you know, whatever, rink-a-dink thing. But to use that, you kind of have to know how to draw stuff, not necessarily in 3D, but in like 2D. So he had no idea how to use it, and he was like, you're young, figure it out. I have a lot of it done. Luckily, it just mirrors over, so passenger side's almost done. I just need to figure out like,
Because what's good though is because if we can print all that, we have it and we know it's good and everything fits.
yeah.
You know, then it's like doing the carbon.
I'm just like nervous about mounting the grill. That's like the biggest deal on the car. That's scary because there's so much going on in the front of the car and it all has to line up.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. You can draw everything you want. Making it line up is the hard part.
Oof.
I know. Whole thing's a big sheesh, dude. Every part of it. It's giving me white hair, dude.
When it comes to business, I think you have to have a lot of passion in what you do. If you don't, you're gonna be bored and you're gonna miss a lot of things. You're just not gonna have, you're just gonna have no feeling. You're just gonna feel like you came to work and what purpose do I have? What am I doing? So you gotta have passion in it. It's a big thing. I think with anything you do, you have to have passion in it. From an athlete to, you know, a car builder, you gotta have passion.
You want this car out of all steel, and
Yeah.
I see a lot of things on here, like the bumpers, for instance. There's not enough time in the year to make those bumpers.
Yeah. We're gonna try, you know. At the end of the day, it's all we can do.
You know, I do like sheet metal weldment, stuff like that, right? And 3D scanning it's a game changer for sure. I'm a big advocate for that. I tell everybody that's wanting to get into it is like, bro, you gotta use them both. Might seem like a long time to print something, right? But like, while that's printing, I'm working on the next thing. You know, that saves just, dude, an ungodly amount of time.
It's plan A, but there's also other things we can do. A plan B is what Waylon was talking about, is we can always either 3D print it, make it out of carbon, you know, do half carbon, half steel. I mean, we don't know yet. We're not there.
No, it comes down to time, honestly.
Yeah.
The 3D printer for Blazin Rodz was one of the biggest first investments because we knew that that's the route we wanted to take. We knew that 3D printing was going to be a very big part of our game, and I think it's exactly worth it in every form.
Yeah, it's just hitting here. But it'd be nice if we get that trim. I want to make those brackets because there is holes in here. Know what I'm saying?
Well, this looks like we could weld it to that body mount thing I did. Like,
Make the bracket bolt on. Whole bumper bracket's just gonna be a bolt-on thing, so we're gonna make it billet.
and I love trying to embrace technology and 3D printing because one, it makes my life easier because back in the day, all this stuff was built by hand and I did it.
Yeah, I'll have to see the gap too. I think it's like about, I think it was all 3/16, like the gaps on everything. Dude, me and Spencer are like best friends, dude. We do pretty much everything together. I actually met Spencer at an old shop. We ended up moving in together. We see each other 24/7, literally, like nonstop all the time. We work together, we live together. We've worked together for years before this. Like at this point, he's like to me, he's like a part of me.
I mean, we're kind of like peas and carrots. Like we just go together.
How wide is wide on a wide body?
Wide.
I mean,
Because there's
I want it to be noticeable. I don't want like a fiberglass or carbon wide body. I'm talking about like steel wide body, like a coach worked wide
in
body.
14 months, huh?
I know you know
been
somebody.
done.
Like who?
Do know a guy, and he's super busy all the time.
Okay.
You know, just because that's kind of like a lost art in of itself. And
So why don't we do this? Why don't you get in contact with him, feel him out, see how he feels about being a part of the project.
what do you do for a Chevelle? What's up, Justin?
Grab a seat. What you got going on?
That's the reason why I'm here, because you're probably wondering why I'm here, huh?
I figured. I thought you just wanted to visit me.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually the real reason. Well, I landed myself into something pretty epic, pretty gnarly, and I want to get you involved with it.
Coach building is basically the art of scratch building a body. Like it started from horse and carriage days, and it's just evolved to our modern cars or vehicles. It's just still referred to as coach building. So much anything that is scratch built is referred to as a coach built car.
Just right off the bat, we have a plan to build the Chevelle. We want to wide body that. We don't know anybody that does that. I know you. I've worked with you before. I love working with you. I know we'll be like a great team. This whole operation, honestly, like without someone that like knows metalwork, like it's just not gonna work. I personally have not asked Justin for a favor this ridiculous, but our last project that we did together when I got introduced into Justin was another gnarly favor.
So like with all the new shops coming about, like, what do you guys think that's gonna set you guys apart from the next shop?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're basically planning on like building a lot of the cars in the computer and, send out laser, machine, blah, 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 right? So a lot of like very trick components, and with the use of like pretty epic technology, bro, you're gonna get epic results.
What kind of deadlines you guys have?
I don't think every project's gonna be like deadline the way the one that we're thinking of is going to be. But we have a pretty ridiculous deadline on a project we're trying to do within a year.
So on this first build, what's the end goal? Like, is there a show we're going to?
Yeah, so the end goal with the first project that we have planned is, we're trying to make it to SEMA. Like, it's pretty much the foundation of everything you're trying to make to, right? Is SEMA. It's like the Super Bowl. We're trying to make SEMA, and we're also trying to enter the car and to battle the builders at SEMA. So a very, very tall order.
I mean, like, it all sounds like a fairy tale, but, and I'm definitely interested.
We're good at making fairy tales
We
come real.
gotta talk, like, figure out the facts. And
Yeah,
the
definitely.
deadline, I've got a waiting list that I'm gonna have to put people off.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you're well established, bro. So
Iron out those details.
that's also why I came here, is so I could talk about it in person and not over the phone call. And it's like, yep, who knows what he was talking about, forget about it the next day. You know, I wanted to come out here and actually talk to you about it.
Well, I'm definitely interested,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I definitely would look forward to, you know,
Yeah.
a further conversation about it.
No one in my cards that I would trust to build this car in this time frame. Frankly, I don't actually know anybody else that could do this stuff. They're very few and far between. They're just not existent. They don't exist. So if Justin does not sign in, we could just cancel this thing right now.
So yeah, I promised, I promised Jason that, we can fulfill, doing these cars and the 2 Chargers, for instance. I still got to call a Finale Speed to see if they're even available. I don't even know if they're, if I call them right now and they tell me, hey, the cars are 8 months, it's impossible. It's impossible to get it done. So I'm hoping that the lead time from them is not, something way out there. So, I mean, I guess we got to just wait and see on that. What's up, Chris? How are you?
Good, man.
Hey, so I wanted to give you a kind of a little rundown of what we got going on here. We started this new venture with this new company called Blazin Rodz, and we have a really big project that we're doing for SEMA this year, and we want to come out with a bang. So I know you're with Finale Speed, and I was interested on getting a couple carbon cars from you.
Awesome. Are we talking the Camaro or the Charger?
The Chargers.
Chargers. Growing up, my grandparents always saw that I was always tinkering with stuff, this and that. So they took me to the hobby store, and I remember buying like these little electric motors and popsicle sticks and like bottle caps and making like little RC cars out of that. Like I said, we're looking to do 2 of them. You guys are running the Roadster Shop chassis, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So it's a fast track chassis, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So now on those, I know there's a couple different options. Are we able to order it with the billet arms for the suspension?
We can deliver it to you guys in whatever level of completion that you're looking for. If you're looking to do a lot of the work yourselves,
Correct.
you just tell us how far you want us to take it.
Definitely took stuff apart as a kid. Tried to learn how to put stuff back together. Didn't always work, unfortunately, but that's how you learn. Taking stuff apart. Hopefully it goes back together the way you took it apart, but that's all a learning curve when you're growing up. What is the price range on these things?
I got to check with the guys back at the shop, but I'm thinking the budget is probably going to be $2 to maybe $240 or $50
Okay.
for each of them.
Okay.
$240,000, $250,000 for a frame and a body of a car is like, it's a huge chunk of change. So like, I really have to focus on like calculating the numbers and putting it all together because we need to make sure it works with the budget.
It's a little expensive, but I mean, it's something that we can, that we'll discuss. I mean, I think it's.
Yeah, well, there may be some wiggle room too, since you guys are going to be buying 2 of them.
Okay.
That would be awesome if we
Talk to you
could.
guys and see if we can get you a bulk discount.
Guess what? Still is. Yep. That just needs this edge gone. Albacore.
Smells like albalone, dude.
3D printing's awesome because it allows us to not only design a part and test it, but it allows us to build parts for the car to move forward while we're making the final one. The world's changing in many perspectives. Like, it's not as easy to get parts. It's not as easy to do everything. Instead of waiting for people to catch up and see, oh, we need this to run higher horsepower, we build it ourselves.
Man, oh man.
This side hits now.
Still hit some of the sheet metal here. We gotta trim that.
I gotta cut the top one. Same on that side, right?
Yeah, and then we could probably just body hammer this one a little bit.
I'm just gonna, the full bottom part, dude.
So right now, Waylon and Spencer are headed up to Ojai, and they're taking the renderings up there to show Justin kind of what he's looking at to get into. I pretty much told him, I was like, hey, dude, don't come back without a yes. So fingers crossed he does.
What's up, Justin?
What's happening?
What's going on, dude?
What's up, dude?
This is
How are you,
Spencer.
Spence?
He's the fabricator. I got the renderings,
I've been waiting.
and it's ridiculous. The renderings are pretty important to Justin. It definitely lets him pre-plan in his head about how ridiculous this thing's gonna be and how he's gonna accomplish it, right? He can't really commit to something he doesn't know. Here we go. Yep, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Good. Yeah,
Yeah, it's badass.
it is
It's a-
sweet.
It's a fiasco, definitely.
Now can we do it in a couple of weeks?
Yeah. Do you think by next month, after just the renderings, you got it?
When Waylon and Spencer first showed me the renderings, it was, amazing. The amount of detail involved in the car, the styling is top notch. There's a lot of detail.
Yeah.
It looks bitchin'.
Some pretty sharp lines, just
Yeah.
rock city right there.
I
But
like the way everything pulls in.
What Justin does is something that very, very few people in the world can do or even do. That is, that's a very dying trade, and the people that are keeping it alive are absolutely phenomenal at what they do, because it is nothing but just raw talent.
it's one thing to see it on a computer, it's another to turn it into reality.
It's not something you can just pick up and start doing. That is years and years of training and messing things up and figuring out the best ways to do it.
Yeah, what was the timeline for this again?
Like a year. We're stressed too, bro.
Normally that's like a 2-year process.
Oh, I would say
Just
easy,
for
right? And
my
that's like
end.
being like pretty overzealous in of itself too, I would say. you know?
I mean, the one thing we have going for is obviously you being able to design it all and help out with some of the shortcuts that we can achieve through technology, but
But I don't know about that big of a
there's still a lot of hammering that can't have the computer do.
Yeah.
Knowing where Waylon likes to take his work direction and what his level of quality is, as soon as he called, I was definitely interested for a conversation. And, the deeper we talked about it, I knew it would be at least worth the gamble.
There's definitely a lot of just like this whole section. I'm sure you already envisioned that's like its own panel, most likely, right?
Yeah, like when I see it, it's pretty much a whole quarter panel. It's a cool project.
Not a cool timeline.
Negative. Oh, man. Well, I mean, I'll give it my best. I'm in, but...
He's in. We sold him. We're out, dude.
Have fun.
Yeah. Now that Justin is on board with us, I'm gonna have to give the template for the body, send that out and get it cut on a CNC router, and then just drop a pallet off to Justin and he'll know what to do from there.
Well, Direct Connection makes all those motors for Dodge too
Right, yep.
that we can run with. They've got their motor and trans packages together.
Okay.
I don't know what all
There's
is available from them right now, but I do know they have help and anything.
Yeah, I have a contact over there with this guy Chad that I can call. Taking 3 cars to SEMA, I feel it definitely could bite me in the ass in the long run, but we're gonna try.
Yo, what's up, Riccardo?
What's up, Chad, man? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
Good, good. Long time no talk.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey man, so I kind of want to fill you in on this new venture that I'm on. I just opened up this shop called Blazin Rodz, super new. We are trying to come out with a punch here, and we are doing a SEMA Battle of the Builders this year with a Chevelle. We're also doing, and this is what I want to talk to you about. We're doing two 1970 carbon Dodge Chargers.
When we heard about the Chargers, we fell in love because we wanted to build something different. And the whole idea of 3 cars was kind of me, Jason, and Riccardo just kind of bullshitting. We're like, we could do it, but we probably shouldn't. And then we were like, we're gonna do it.
Look, I know you guys have, great engines for these Dodges, and I'm just trying to figure out what you think would be a good fit, for these cars.
Since it's gonna be a carbon fiber, this thing needs to be like special.
Right,
Really
yeah.
special.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get this thing to be like one-off builds.
Yeah, like super exclusive.
Exactly.
If you remember, we launched that Direct Connection 1500
Okay.
at SEMA. Super exclusive engine.
So, I mean, is that something that we can obtain?
I like what you're doing. I mean, this is badass what you're doing. I mean, look at, for these cars, I'd be willing to let you have serial number 1 and 2.
So hold on a second. So 1 and 2, you mean that like I'll have engine, like the first and second one that are on the market?
These things are going to be priceless. Let's put it that way.
I'm like kind of lost for words right now on that 1 and 2. That's like,
We're waiting for like the perfect build, and this is the perfect build. I mean, carbon fiber chargers,
right.
They don't get better than that.
Even though it seems like we're just running on a blank check, we're not. Every idea and everything we have is thought of deeply before we spend crazy money on things, because we need to make sure that it's worth our investment.
I mean, major question here. What's the price on these things?
So, I mean, they're going to set you back, but they're 60 grand.
Just the motor?
Just the motor. Just the motor, 60 grand, but it's got all premium parts. It's top of the line.
Jesus. I mean, it's a pretty penny just for the motor.
Number 1 and 2. You can't get back to that.
It's my dad's money, so obviously, like, from that perspective, every dollar I see go out, I know that my dad worked hard for it, so I don't want to be like throwing away money for no reason. I think we need to look at the price, put it all down.
Well, I mean, look, like he said too, the cars are carbon. They are, I mean, 1 and 2, at the end of the day, it's going to be priceless. So I understand Scotty, is doing his job, trying to keep us on track and, stay within our budgets on these cars. But man, we're getting engine number 1 and 2, which is absolutely insane. So it's stuff that you see that's pretty much put in a museum. I just need him to trust me that, having these insane number 1 and 2 engine is just gonna make these builds pretty much priceless at the end of the day.
Well, I'm a pretty conservative person, but when it comes to cars, I am pretty much balls to the walls. You gotta just go for it. You can't build something that everybody else is building. It's no fun. Well, I think you got to see what other people are doing out in the industry, but I think you got to come up with your own take on what you want. What's your dream? What are you looking for? What are you trying to put out to the public? This was an investment, so if you're going to make an investment, invest into something that's big.
Something that's definitely going to be a problem is the square exhaust. That, I mean, it's a big visual part of the car in this, but the turbo is round, and I don't really know how we're going to make that by hand. I know we're thinking about putting the turbos against the firewall. Yeah. But that's still going to be a tight transition. I mean, we have to come down and like do pretty much a 90 to that. And that's not, there's not a lot of room in there to do that.
Do they have stainless?
I mean, you can print headers. Yeah. It's like kind of a thing now.
But if we could machine that, that would be sick. That would be super sick, but that's going to be like purchasing a diamond, bro. Like, that's expensive to, make that out of stainless, bro.
Couldn't even imagine how much that's gonna be.
Bro, you'd almost have to build it out as one piece and try to cut it, and how are you gonna get that square to a circle and maintain that flow, and then you can't have a flex on a square. They don't make bellows for that. We could probably machine it, and that would probably be our first bet,
Thank you.
Choppy plan. Or we could just have Spencer try to build it.
Right now he's putting up the exhaust, so we're trying to see
how much spacing we need off the frame, you know, to come out, and in order for it to be aesthetically pleasing for it to be a rocker panel. And then also the whole bottom of the car is going to be carbon, like a full carbon skid plate on the bottom. So we're trying to see if we want the exhaust to be somewhat a little bit below it, or if we want it flush, or we want it above it. We're trying to figure that out right now. See what's the best way it's going to look.
Just trying to get it straightened out so it's even, and yeah, figure out some way to hold this thing up there, and then magically mount some tabs so you can't see any hardware.
Typically exhaust, you know, runs underneath the car, but because we're so low, we're fighting for room, and where the turbos are, we decided to come out the side of the car, and we had to try to make it not look like an old Cobra.
You want to go higher up?
Visionary.
Well, we got to figure out how much space we want in between, and then we can.
Well, that's spacing's gonna change depending on
Justin.
Yeah. Well, where it is right now, because we're gonna do it even with the bottom.
It's pretty straight. And I think it has to come out.
Yeah.
Once Justin sticks the wide body on here, so there's a gap that you see. Obviously, this is all mock-up, but the body line now is gonna follow the exhaust perfectly right here. So that's your wide body line now.
I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible. Let's say you look at a piece of graph paper, and let's just say you want to make a half of a ball, right? Like a dome. If you take those lines, those patterns, and you stretch them up, and you think about that graph just being a ball, right? So that graph now gives you a ball shape, right? And if you lay something on top of that, like a piece of metal, you can form it to that, and it'll get you your shape that you're looking for. So that's what a buck is.
Made the bucks, got them CNC routed out, literally took that big stack of parts, sent it to Justin, which is amazing because Justin can now start on the wide body of the car.
Took us a couple days to get it together. We just now got it leveled, everything's square. We go through quite a process to make sure that it was right from the ground up from the beginning. So finally at this point, we're ready to actually start patterning and making panels and start that process. I'm wondering if we compass it. That's how we did this side. We'll go over and take a reference with the compass. We know until like here. I'll pull this in a tape line and make that fade, and then that is what it is. First, we'll map out where we want to make the sections and where we want those seams to happen. Like all these body lines taper. It's not just a body line that's maybe a ½ inch wide down the whole side. We might start at 2 inches and taper to nothing. So a lot of it is just getting layout and how we're gonna map out each panel, how we're gonna be able to perform getting this edge done.
He's just basically gonna take a whole bunch of flat sheets of metal and hammer them, form them, English wheel them out, and weld them together to make the shape of the car.
In this project, being able to have the bucks and not the car is the only way it's going to work. So that's a huge factor in this build, not only for the time frame, but just from a quality standpoint.
He doesn't need the car, so we get to do what we need to do on the car still while he's finishing that up.
Let's put a Clico right in here because we're going to potentially eliminate that. Yeah, I would rather just have one extra hole right down in
the plant.
Right down in here. If you don't have that type of a form, you're never gonna get symmetry. So your right side might be different than your left side. You know how people say, like, well, you can't see both sides at the same time, but that's not how it's supposed to be built.
Biggest challenges with the bodywork on the Chevelle is actually all of it, I guess. There is not a single panel on the Chevelle besides the hood and the trunk that are not being made by hand.
He's doing a couple tacks. He's gonna bring that over and we're gonna hammer it. We might wanna take some reference marks on the way the transition goes. You know how that thing fades out? I think we need to lay out a piece of tape and measure it and make reference marks so that we get the pinch the same.
The attention to detail is definitely really high. It's got to be absolutely perfect, you know, for what we're going for the SEMA Battle of the Builders. I mean, there's guys out there that have been doing this for 20 plus years, longer than any of us have.
Pretty much shutting down the shop for, you know, half a year to only cater to this project. So there's a lot on the line for me as well as for everyone else, but it's got to happen or it's kind of a failure, you know?
At the end of the day, our SEMA debut has to be on point 100%. So we have to do everything we can to make sure that that moment, because you only get that moment once in business, that we come out as strong as we can.
Yeah, our goal to win Battle of the Builders is a gnarly goal, especially in the time frame that we allotted ourselves.
If we don't make the deadline to SEMA, that'd be pretty embarrassing, I guess. Having a TV show about making the deadline to SEMA.
We need to just get it done, and we can get it done, but there's always things that do happen. I'm just hoping that it's not gonna happen to us.